Hello iOS fans, Robin here with a 5 reasons to read for you. Yes, it's books again, 5 reasons to read. And what's the book this week? Well, my book this week is Starlings by Jo Walton. Yes, if you've never read any Jo Walton, then I thoroughly recommend you do. Her, among others, is one of my favourite books. I feel like I said that a lot on these videos, but Jo Walton's, among others, is definitely in my top 3. It's fabulous. I may even do a 5 reasons to read video for you in a few weeks' time, just because now having read this, I really want to read it again. And even though it's been out a few years, it's such a lovely book, and I think it's probably underrated and underread. So maybe I'll do that for you. But if you haven't, if you do go and check out Jo Walton's, among others. If you haven't, before, but now I shall do 5 reasons to read Jo Walton's Starlings. Now this is published by Tachyon Publications, I think a US based, and it's available in trade paperback, $15.95 US or $9.99 digital format, and it's out on the 30th of January. So, well, let's see why. 5 reasons why you should read it. Number 1. Well, I'm going to cheat a little bit with my first 3 reasons because it's actually a set of short stories, and I'm going to tell you the 3 stories that I love the most. So number 1 is the story called The Panda Coin, which is a story that if you love David Mitchell's books, Cloud Atlas, something like that, then you will love The Panda Coin story. It's the story about a coin that is given to somebody as a tip, and then you kind of follow it through. It's set in the future. And you follow through where the coin went, and you get different points of view of the story as the coin travels, and then the whole thing kind of cycles back on itself. And it's a really great little story that I thoroughly recommend you track down and read. So that was reason 1. Reason 2 is a story called The Sleeper. An excellent story, all about artificial intelligence and the kind of storage of artificial intelligence, and to keep people sort of historically alive. In this again set in the future, obviously. Looking back and then being able to interrogate them, not interrogate them, but being able to discuss things with them. So sort of recreating them, these artificial intelligences. And this person who's recreated for this story for a biography is a Cold War spy who managed to stay hidden right the way through after the fall of the Soviet Union. And it's a fascinating little story and quite clever, almost subversive one, and I really liked it. And it's a really two really neat ideas encapsulated in a very few number of pages. So an excellent story, and that's The Sleeper. And number 3 is the story Relentlessly Mundane. And this is again a beautiful little idea for a story. It's almost like a story after the story. So it's happened after a sort of Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe type stories, and the people have come back from this magical world where they've been amazingly superpowered and can wield magic and all that sort of thing, and they're trying to get back on with their lives. And it's kind of how the opening of the chapter is obviously quite a long time after this. They were children, and then now they're grown-ups, and they've tried to how they've adapted or not adapted to their situation. And it's a very short little story, almost it's like the beginning of a new story. And I think in the book she says that it was going to be the first chapter of a novel that never quite happened, but it's a neat little short story of its own right. So that is Relentlessly Mundane, and that story is anything but relentlessly mundane. So that's the first 3 reasons. That's 3 stories for you. My 4th reason, so number 4, author afterwards. Afterwards, yes. And basically, after each of these stories, because a lot of them have been published before in other journals and things back in the day, there's a little afterword about how the story came about, or how it might have changed, or and things like that written. So probably another sort of 3 or 4 paragraphs written by Jo Walton about the story, and that's really nice. You don't get to see that very often. I mean, it probably wouldn't necessarily work in a novel, but you don't get to see that often, this sort of the creative process and the reasoning behind the story. I really like that. So that's number 4, is the author afterwards, which takes me on to number 5. Number 5 is the variety of stuff that's in the book. So we've got lots of stories. Quickly show you here. So the book is a couple of 100 pages, 288 pages to be precise, and I can't find the contents. And there's the contents page. So you've got about 15, 20 stories there for the first 190 pages. And then there's a play, which is a really funny play, which was written for, I think, some sort of expo. And it's very subversive and plays with the genre and is highly entertaining, called Three Shouts on a Hill. I really like that. Reading plays can be a bit odd. It's not too long. I really enjoyed that. And then there's some poetry. Now, I'm not a poetry fan, which probably means that Jo Walton probably wouldn't speak to me, because she's a great lover of poetry, and I'm one of those people who never quite gets it. But she's got some great little poems in there, which I really enjoyed. So I thoroughly recommend picking that up. So there's a beautiful variety of stories. The stories are great. Start off is my least favourite story is probably the first one in the book, and so I would make sure you persevere beyond that one, or you may love it anyway, because I mean the writing's great, just the story didn't catch me. But some of the other stories, not just the three that I've read out, are fabulous in there, and some of them are very, very short, some of them are a little bit longer, but they're all great. I would thoroughly recommend that. Jo Walton's Starlings, published by Tachyon Publications, out on the 30th of January. Well worth reading. Do go check it out. You won't regret it. And if you don't have time to get this, or you fancy reading some more Jo Walton, do check out Among Others. It's a fabulous book. So that's today's 5 reasons to read. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. And do let me know if you checked out the book and if you enjoyed it. And so until next time, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.